You're listening to the All Systems Go podcast, the show that teaches you everything you need to know to put your business on autopilot. Learn how to deploy automated marketing and sales systems in your business the right way with your host, the professor of automation himself and founder of Automation Bridge, Chris Davis.
Welcome to the All Systems Go podcast. I'm your host, Chris L. Davis, the founder and chief automation officer of Automation Bridge, the place online to learn about small business marketing and sales automation, where we focus on turning digital marketing professionals into automation service providers. And if you'd like to become one or find out more, please visit automationbridge.com/ASP. If you're new to the podcast, welcome. Welcome to the All Systems Go podcast, and make sure you listen to this episode in its entirety before you subscribe, just so you know what kind of value you're getting. At the time of recording this podcast, the All Systems Go podcast is free to subscribe to, so you can find the show wherever you listen to podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. You can even subscribe on YouTube. Okay, while you're at it, your 5-star ratings and reviews are greatly appreciated. If for whatever reason you're running into issues leaving a review in the platform you're listening to this on, you can visit automationbridge.com/review and we'll take care of all of the posting for you. All right. This episode, I get to talk about one of my favorite topics in online marketing, and that's thank you pages. And Brian, he enjoys them just as much as me. And we discuss various ways that you can win. He even shows a way that he lost. I'm using air quotes when I say lost. By using them effectively, there's something really unique about thank you pages. And you'll learn as you listen to this podcast. But my hopes is that by the end of this podcast, you will be thinking about and leveraging thank you pages differently, but not just differently, more highly effectively in your marketing online. All right. Brian Keith, he is the founder of Red Beard Consulting, the author of the Impact Framework, and an expert at systematizing operations for businesses. He helps companies to scale their profits and impact through auditing their existing systems and making adjustments geared for efficiency and automation. It's a lot in there. It's a short paragraph, but there's quite a bit to peel back. So hopefully you get to know a little bit more about Brian and his approach, learning how he approaches thank you pages. So go ahead and listen to our discussion. Brian, welcome to the podcast. Glad to have you on, man. It was a joy, just our pre-chat for the podcast. And, we both probably agree we could have went on for days, but now we can get it officially on the record. How are you doing, man?
Chris, I am utterly delighted to be alive. I just finished a 2-day no tech, which sounds like a tiny amount of time. But once you go through, you're like, I just climbed Mount Everest.
Oh, man, no tech. Wow.
For a whole 2 days.
Gee.
And it's amazing how time changes when you're just like, you want to do something. You're like, oh, no, I can't research that right now. Here, let me go write that down.
Wow.
For later. It's incredible.
Wow.
My whole brain's this is actually my first time talking to a human on technology in a whole 2 days.
Man, that you bring an idea to my mind, just like at least once a month, just the entire family, just no tech. And maybe that expands to just more than once, but I think our brains need that time to breathe and disconnect, man, especially us who are in this technical field where we're always logically thinking and building out journeys and having to optimize for the best path. Our brains are just always going and we're always looking at stuff, And
we're so used to talking on screens, which is not how we're designed as humans to connect.
Yeah.
And so if you find yourself wanting to talk to a human, but all your technology is off, you might actually have to go talk to your wife or your husband or your kids or a neighbor, I don't know, or a friend.
Right.
And connect with them without I wanted to look that up. How often in a conversation are you talking with a friend in person? And
Yep.
some interesting topic comes up. So, oh yeah. And then you take yourself
Yes.
out of the moment, right? I do it
You,
all the freaking time. It's
man,
incredible. It's like I'm
Brian,
an addict because I am.
this is too tough, man. I know we have a podcast to record, but hold on, man. Just wait. Just wait right
Oh,
there.
it's going to all relate.
Right? I'm getting to the point, I'm not lying to you, where I refuse to have a conversation with somebody with a cell phone in their hand. Like,
That's
I
great.
just won't compete because I've seen it. Sometimes that person just has no, they're just easily distracted. But other times you can say something and they're like, oh, let me look it up. And that look up, then they're on Facebook. Like, it just leads them, you're right, takes them out of the moment, man. And I think that we're getting to a point where we cannot afford to do that and let that be the norm, man.
I signed the new client on Friday. Today's Monday that we're recording this. And part of my hilarious sales pitch was, I am one of the hardest to get a hold of people you will ever work with. And after that came out of my mouth, I thought, A, that's a weird thing to say during a sales call. But B, it's really true that you can't call me. My phone's off. You can email me. I'll see it in a day or three. You can Facebook me. I'll see it in a day or three. You can message me on Twitter. I'll see it in a day or three. But I mostly only do meetings 2 days a week. And you can't call me or text me. So, but what I told him is, when I'm with you, I will be all with you.
That's it, man.
That in your preparation for this podcast, you said, turn off all your notifications, which I love that you say that. And I think I'm there because I always have everything closed. My phone's always off. I don't have any notifications on. At this point, someone could knock on the door. My dog could go crazy. My fiance can knock on the door because the house is on fire. But really, I just live a notification-free life in that sense most of the time.
Yeah. That's powerful, man. And just being present, man, and giving whatever has your attention.
That's it. It's the biggest gift.
Wow.
And it's the most rare gift, right?
Yeah.
That how often, like on Saturday, we got to go see some friends. And here we are tech free. The last tech we have of the weekend was my fiance texting the friend saying, we're leaving now to come to you. So we're sitting there playing with the dogs. We go for a walk by the water and we're just completely there. And just, we're giving ourselves completely into this experience. Yeah. And how often do we cut ourselves off and say, oh, I'm going to do 3 things at once. I'm going to watch my movie on Netflix while talking to my spouse while on my phone. Oh yeah. Yeah. Huh.
Yep. Oh,
like it's a
man.
joke, but it's not a joke because we're crippling our ability to connect. And empathy is the greatest asset. And we're just burning it. We're just lighting it, dumping gasoline on empathy and burning it. By connecting through Twitter and by looking up 1,000 different controversies in an hour. I've been really active on Twitter starting about 2 months ago. And until then, I was ignoring Twitter. I just focused entirely on Facebook. And Facebook, I find, is fantastic for connecting with communities that I'm already connected to. So our mutual friend, Greg Jenkins, his Monkey Pod Grove, my favorite place on Facebook. And there's not that many people in that group, less than 1,000. So for building relationships, love it. But for how do you get to know people you don't know? That's why I started being active on Twitter. And I've had some success. I'm at almost 1 million impressions in the last 28 days.
Nice.
A couple of really handy retweets, really lucky retweets. But what I'm noticing is on Twitter, well, what gets traffic? Derek Halpern says outrage and controversy gets traffic. Those are the things that turn us on. I mean, we just want to fight. Oh, you're wrong. I'm right. Something like that. Or we're both right against those bad people over there. So I was on Twitter a lot to go and start using this new platform. And man, the amount of controversy, Chris, the amount of outrage I was exposing myself to, even just this morning being back on Twitter after a whopping 2 days off, like, oh, it's like being hit in the head with a, I don't know, sledgehammer or something.
Wow.
The amount of controversy, and I can feel myself like, oh, there's just so much. And that's even a little tiny slice. Right? And some of these people who they're posting stuff, I really do care about them and we're aligned in our mission. But like this morning, a factory in Illinois blew up and there's footage of it blowing up and it's a disaster. Now, did you need to know that, Chris? No, unless you live in Illinois right next to there. Did I need to know it? Probably not. And yet someone I care about, who I have a relationship with, posted it and I consumed it by watching it. That's a really powerful example, an explosion at a factory. But how often do we do that across everything else? Like one friend leaving a comment on someone else's friend's post, or someone not answering some message from us, or all these little bits of attention that we lose. And that is the most perfect segue ever into the topic of the day, which is, when do you actually have someone's attention?
Yeah.
The answer is almost never, except there is one time where you always have someone's attention. What's that one time, Chris?
Yep. It is the topic at hand. Those of you who have looked at the title of this episode know where we're going. However, let me do you justice, Brian. Give our listeners just a little bit of insight about you and your journey and your business.
Yeah. I got out of college and I went to go work at an internet marketing agency.
Oh, wow.
And
right out of college.
And I thought, oh man, I'm so hot. And I look back at who I was and how I acted, and I think, now, most 21-year-olds, they both simultaneously like their opinion of themselves, right, compared to their skill set, obviously. And yet I am a special case of being particularly like, ooh. It's like you're watching a fight, maybe in a movie you've already seen. You're like, oh, nope, he's behind you. No good. Yeah. So learned a lot there. And then after doing that for a while, went off and did a variety of other things, like being a nomadic goat herder, for example, or an electrician's assistant, all kinds of fun stuff. And worked on a horse farm in Tennessee for a bit. And then started my company back in 2012. Does that feel like a long time ago? Because it's almost a long time ago.
It does feel like a long time ago, but like every year after I graduated college kind of like has a landmark. So it feels like long ago, but then I can remember it like it's just yesterday, It's
not that long ago, right? Yep. So started working with Key back when it was called Infusionsoft, just when Campaign Builder came out.
Yep.
Highlights in my career is I was helping companies automate things, initially mostly with that platform, then later other platforms. At one point, I had the biggest Zapier course in the world, over 3,000 students on Udemy. This was before Zapier came out with their own training, which once they did that, my training was horribly outdated. So I just deleted it. It's like, I could try to make this better, but now at this point, there's so many Zapier courses everywhere.
Yep.
Trying to be the best in the world when there's only one of you is really easy. Being the best in the world when there's like 50 and they're really smart, like, nope.
Yep.
I see the field.
Got more resources. Yeah.
And Zapier's training itself is excellent.
Yeah.
At the time that I made my course, there's no training. So it was like, man, I'm good stuff, but no, not anymore. And then I've written a few books along the way, got to speak on a few stages. And here we are, where I'm now focused on helping generationally minded entrepreneurs deploy the right systems in their business, where I've discovered that really working with the people who are thinking about what impact will my work have 100 years from now on people I will never meet, that those are the people that I care about. And the folks who are more in it for how can I go get rich today or go get whatever my goal is today, I'm not really interested in talking to. I find that the generationally minded people, I just love working with those people.
Yeah, that's good, man. Big picture stuff. So with that being said, I love it. I love that even though you got started in internet marketing, there's still a journey, right? There's still the exploration, and your destination which was the beginning of another path, because you never really arrived, was the fact that, you know what, this is what I want to do. This is, out of all that I've learned, this is how I want to show up and help people to use it. Not get rich quick, not, tug on your psychological triggers that I know work and can make you do what I want you to do. And I even think that our preamble, our pre-convo of this episode, in the first 5 minutes gives a good glimpse into you as well, and just your thoughtfulness, right, and presence and attention, which again we can go back to the topic at hand, because I think this is going to be so fun to talk about. And it is, in marketing, you're competing for everybody's attention. Everybody's running ads. Everybody's got a landing page. Everybody's got a Facebook group. Everybody's got this. Everybody's got that. And
a beard, for example, one might say.
Yes. Right. but watch this. They now are comparing us to goldfish, right? The attention span of a goldfish is like, I think, less than a second or something like that.
Yeah.
So how do you do it? And as you mentioned earlier, there is one time in marketing that you are guaranteed, for at least as long as technology does not get in the way, somebody's undivided attention with respect to what you just told them you're going to give them or what they were going to get. And that's thank you pages. and you have a few stories, some strategies, and to help us understand how do we properly leverage thank you pages. But I'll start here, Brian. Why? Why do I even need a thank you page? Because watch this, Brian. That form, I've got this software, and it gives me this option that says put a message right there. So why create a whole nother page when I can just say, thank you, I just emailed your resource, or thank you, we'll call you tomorrow. Why do I have to go through and build out an entire page for what my software makes so easy?
I can do no better than to quote Justin McDonald, former president of 6th Division.
Yes.
And he said, at 6th Division, we call a next action page, not a thank you page. You're like, oh my goodness, why didn't I think of that? Oh, J-Max, incredible.
Yes.
And it's the next action that the reason it's so important is that someone just clicked a button so their wallet's open, and we all care about money. So whatever, they're like, okay, I just gave you money. You will never have more trust into that moment.
Yeah.
More or less.
Mm-hmm.
And so that moment is your greatest chance to build a relationship ever. Think about if you get married, and think about the moment after you put the ring on her finger. Whatever you do right then will be remembered forever. Everyone's watching. Amen. She's watching. Right. Like, whatever you do will be permanent in the history books. Mm-hmm. It's a really important moment, obviously. Yeah. And when we think about putting a ring on a spouse's finger, we think, well, yeah, I should probably pay attention. I should probably have some kind of like, here's how I'm going to act at that time. But then when someone does something like, oh, they download an ebook, we say, your message has been received, or you'll see it in your inbox. Peace. Tell me if you like it. And we don't really accept that, oh my goodness, they just gave us their attention. If only to go, theoretically, go read an ebook later. They gave us their email address. My buddy Charles Caudette, in his book, Predictable Profits, he talks about the dating, engagement, marriage way of looking at things here. Mm-hmm. And really, we got to keep in mind that even at the give me your email address stage, download the content upgrade, whatever it is, there's this promise and there's this connection where someone's let you into their world. And while maybe a decade ago saying, thanks, check your inbox was cool beans, at this point, that may be the only moment you get, because at least at that moment when they click submit, they're probably not also on their phone and watching Netflix.
Absolutely.
Or pretending to listen to their spouse.
Yeah.
At that moment, as they're typing it in or autofilling it, let's be honest, and clicking submit, or get the thing,
mm-hmm.
we have that moment. And that moment, we can't count on anything more than that. Like that is our first date. That's our first kiss.
Yeah.
So we gotta honor that and say, okay, if we actually care about helping this person live a better life, have a happier relationship, make more money, whatever it is we're helping them to do, we have to hone in on that. Say, I'm going to honor this moment. Well, how am I going to honor it? If they're the right person to ascend beyond whatever they just got, whether it's an ebook, whether it's joining the $10,000 membership, doesn't matter what it is. Mm-hmm. If they're the right person to ascend beyond here, which I need to know that, I want to go and help them ascend to go get deeper into this. If you're trying to solve my marriage and I just downloaded an ebook on how to stop yelling at your wife, and then you say, check your inbox, but you could have saved my marriage, but instead you just emailed me an ebook.
Yep.
You're a dick. Like you could have done so much more.
Yep.
But you stopped.
Yeah.
Why? Because it's easy. Because it's a hassle to do something else. Because you're not sure what to do. You don't want to peer forward. Like, this guy only asked for an ebook. I'm not going to go sell him $1,000 package on how, like a coaching thing on how to avoid divorce. He only wanted an ebook. We have this fear of success, right?
Mm-hmm.
What if he doesn't like it? What if he buys the $1,000 thing on how to avoid the failed marriage, and then what if he wants a refund? I'll just please confirm your email address.
Yep. And
I'm free, not responsible.
You know what, Brian? I also found, as you're saying this, I'm thinking of the ways people trip up. Most of the time, people build their funnel forward instead of planning backwards, right? So instead of beginning with the end and then going back and extracting their lead magnet from their product, they start with the lead magnet and they have no clue what they want somebody to do next. They're just like, well, this is the beginning and the end. Just download it. They don't have a strategy to email them And this is not just for beginners. This is across the board. So even as, I think that the most common thing is a thank you page requires you to be strategic, right? You have to be strategic in not only what you want them to do, but how you want them to do it. In your example, I've been in a place where things weren't 100% on, the up and up in marriage. And I'm looking online for somebody, who can I call? Who can I talk to? At that point, I'm wide open, Brian. If I download how to communicate with your spouse better, if you're offering me that, and then on the thank you page, say, hey, do you just need to talk to somebody right now? Do you understand the chances of me saying, yes, I want to talk right now? I don't want to go to my email. I want to talk right now.
And then imagine if you clicked the button that said yes, and it said, what phone number should we call you at? You clicked enter, and then 5 seconds later, you get a call from the expert that says,
goodness.
Hey, it's Bob here. So your marriage is in trouble. What's going on? And it's an actual human. And then after, 15 minutes of talking, once Bob has done the assessment about, are you actually qualified?
Yep.
Then Bob can say, so I hope that's been some good advice for you to get you on the right track. If you'd like to continue this conversation, I'd love to. Here's what our rates are. Do you want to move forward?
Yes.
And if you say yes, then they send you, and it says, Bob says, great. You'll see an invoice for PayPal in your inbox right now. Go ahead, pay that. I'll stay on the line. And then we'll talk about this next.
Yeah. Yeah.
For some percentage of people, not just a lifesaver, it's a marriage saver. It's a take better care of your kid saver.
Absolutely.
But it takes a lot of work.
Fast path. You're not, we prefaced this entire episode, or let me preface it by saying, this is not get rich quick stuff. This is not stuff to be abused, to tweak people's behavior and get them to do what you want them to do. It's for people who have something of extreme value to an audience who is looking for that value. How do you get them to help? How do you get them to transformation as fast as possible? And thank you pages have been one of the key elements for me. Everybody I was sharing with Brian, I don't have a history with marketing that is healthy. Like, I grew up in marketing, and marketers were the enemy.
That Chris, has to be a book title. Something like My Unhealthy Relationship with Marketing and How I Learned to Really Turn It Around. I don't know what it is.
Right.
But that turn of phrase has made my day.
Right.
I didn't have a healthy relationship with marketing.
No, it was rather abusive from my perspective, because it's just like, oh, it's a marketer. Everybody hide your wallet, hide everything, close the door, turn off the lights.
Well, it's like Jehovah's Witnesses. For some people, they experience, JWs. They're going to knock on you, they're going to harass you. But for other people, that's how they find their path to God. It's the best thing in the world.
Yep.
Where you sit determines whether you find that or any other missionary religion as being a stain on our society, or a deeply caring people that help others find peace, happiness, and tranquility for all eternity. So it's where you sit is hugely important. I have a story for you.
Yeah.
I have a membership, the Redbeard Accelerator, where I help you deploy more of the right systems in your business.
Yeah.
You've not looked at the sales page yet, but I'll give you one guess as to what the upsell is once you go buy the monthly or the annual version. What would you guess?
Call with you, a strategy session.
How smart. So you get 3 calls, but instead of $1,500, if you buy right now, it's only $470. So you can guarantee your progress, because you've already bought in to the monthly or the annual, which is either $200 or $2,000 or so a year. $200 a month, $2,000 a year. But okay, double down. You just already confirmed to me. You told me you believe in this. You just told yourself is more important. You told yourself, I believe being part of Redbeard's group is going to help me deploy more of the right systems and grow my revenue. And the very next thing I say is, would you care to double down on that and to guarantee your progress?
Yeah.
You can use these calls anytime in the next 12 months. It's a very serious discount. It exists nowhere else. You'll never see it. You'll only ever see it. And you know this because by the time you buy in, you've probably followed my stuff. So you notice you don't hear like these buy 3, get 2, whatever. Like there's no sales going on here. So it's really authentic, and it's directly oriented to what you just told yourself. And it's the whole, if someone else tells you something, they might be lying, but if you tell yourself something, it's true. So I capitalize on that.
Yeah.
And the uptake rate is incredible, obviously, because people have just told themselves, I trust this guy. And I say, oh, you trust me? Would you like to trust me some more?
Right.
And then I deliver real value, right? Because the membership it's group-based, nothing private.
Yeah.
And this is something different. So it's a
Yeah.
private one-on-one.
Yeah. A
So
little
it's
more.
not the same thing. It's not like, would you like to buy a second one of the thing you just bought, which can work great for e-commerce stuff.
Yep.
It's would you like an add-on that is going to be incredibly affordable right now? Like if you just bought annual for $19.70 a year, spending $470 to get 3 one-on-one hours and save over $1,000, like the numbers are pretty attractive. And if you just spent $19.70, you're like, so you're saying for only a quarter of what I just spent, I can get 3 one-on-one hours to use within the next year on anything? So we have this balance where at the moment of maximum trust, I make an offer and I say, hey, if this, like you already said you wanted this. And so it just flows naturally from one to the other.
Yeah, I love that, man.
It's not just check your email and your inbox for a confirmation.
The moment of maximum trust. I love it.
Patent that.
You really should. I mean,
let me tell you, Chris. Let me tell you about a moment
really
where of maximum trust that I screwed up on.
Yeah.
You ready for a terrible story?
Yep.
Flashback to 20, I don't know when it was. It was a long time ago, it seems like. And I had a client where the thank you page sucked.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even recall what was on it, but it wasn't converting anything. It wasn't even offering anything. It was probably a check your inbox.
Okay.
Oh, my heart breaks. So me, being smart, said, let's go invite people to give us their cell phone number. And that way we can communicate with them through text.
Okay.
And my client, being trusting, said, great idea. So we deployed it. Guess what happened next?
Everybody called that phone, that number. They didn't text.
Close. Everyone signed up. Now, text message marketing is dirt cheap if you have only a handful of people. And it's still pretty cheap if you have, say, 5, 10, 20,000 people signing up, as long as you're monetizing it. But let's say, for example, you went ahead and started having thousands of people sign up to hear from you, but you didn't already have a monetization plan in place. To your point about strategy and work backwards, right? From your end goal.
Yeah.
The client ended up having to turn it off because they were getting so many people opting in. And this was only when they'd opted in for a lead magnet. So it wasn't quite the maximum level of trust as if they just given you $1,000, but it was so exciting to people. Everyone was opting in. And this is a long time ago. For anybody out there, if your current thank you page says, check your inbox for a confirmation email, just change that to, can I text you sometimes? If yes, put your phone number in here and click on text me, and I'll send you a quick message.
Yeah, and I'll say this. This is a little advanced for my advanced listeners, and I'll bring it down in a minute. But one thing that I love about the thank you page too is you always know more information on that page than the previous. At bare minimum, you know their email address. If you ask for their name, you have their name, and you can now personalize that page and show their name. Or if you're asking for more information, the email field is no longer required. So even if you wanted to hide it, it's still populated if you're using the right technology to pre-populate. But you can really create this personalized experience on that thank you page relative to the information that you're capturing on the initial page. So tell me this, Brian, where are some usage of Facebook of thank you pages? And I'll jump in too, because you just mentioned after purchase, and it made me think there may be a lot of our listeners that just aren't familiar with thank you pages in their usage, right? So where are some other cases people can start to think about, oh, I never thought about optimizing that page after they took that action?
So your key ones would be after someone confirms their email address, after someone opts in for anything without giving you money, after someone gives you money of some kind, and then after they give you money a second time or beyond. And there's all kinds of tools that can parse this out, where with tools like plus this, you can say when someone buys, if they have spent less than a certain amount of money in the past, then send them to this thank you page. If they've spent more than that amount of money, send them over here. And so I can do things like say, if you, and I can do this too, if you have or have not bought a certain thing. Let's say I had a $10 tripwire product that was going to the $2,000 annual accelerator product. I could say, okay, if you buy this $10 thing and you're already an accelerator member, I could offer you something that's not the accelerator because you already bought that. Or if you're a monthly but not an annual accelerator member, I could say, hey there, would you like to upgrade your membership to annual? If you do it right now, I'll give you something off because you just bought this other thing.
Yep.
And if you already have annual, then I'm going to offer you private coaching or outsourced COO or something else that I offer. Or I can offer an affiliate link. If you've already bought everything I have in an area, well then, okay, maybe I should say, hey there, thanks for buying this. I love that you're already a member of my accelerator. Let me tell you about this new thing that I came across that I'm really enjoying. Here's Joshua Lysig's course on market research. And if they buy it from right there and I get 10 or 20% or whatever, or CFO services, I'm not a CFO, but I have a buddy who is, and I get paid for that. So if I already know you've already bought all my highest level stuff and then you buy something else, or you confirm your email address, why don't I send you to someone else who services companies and also of the right size? My CFO buddy mostly works with 7 and 8 figure companies. So if I've already asked you in a previous something and said, hey, what size company are you? You've already told me you're at 2 million. Well, then your thank you page ought to have things for that. If I send you a thank you page and it says how to get your first 1,000 email subscribers, and you've already told me that you're a $2 million company, it's like, why would you trust me at that point? But if it's how $2 million companies, because of course you can merge fields into thank you pages, how $2 million companies are getting their finances handled so they experience less stress and get more profit. And I can have a little webinar right there with my buddy Jen. Okay, now that's tailored right there, especially because we can further customize these based on surveys. I love surveys. I call them up surveys. Instead of an upsell, it's an up survey. If you buy something from me, anything, and I say, which of these 5 things are bothering you the most right now or keeping you up at night? And let's say one of them is finances and accounting. My software remembers that. And the next time you opt into anything on the page after that, and let's say I already know how much money your company's at, I can have a webinar that I've done with my buddy about the CFO talking about the exact problem. And let's say you said you were $2 million. I can have an incredibly customized content. And at that point, it feels like, wow, like this Brian guy, like he really knows my problems. It's because you told me what they were and I listened, but it still looks really cool, right?
Absolutely. I love it. And it's, when you think about it, Brian, you know this for the listeners, when you start to talk about all of the pieces that a functional funnel needs, right, to be profitable, optimized thank you page. Perhaps you've got 2 to 3 thank you pages, depending on your audience, right? Maybe in the case where somebody's in the financial services, you say, hey, do you need bookkeeping? Do you need wealth advising? Or do you need XYZ, right? And depending on what they select, they see different messaging on that thank you page, even if it's the same next action. And you start to realize, man, people who have overemphasized on lead magnet, this, lead magnet, that, and they've got tens and tens of lead magnets, right? They don't really understand how to truly build out that full journey and all of the optimization points in thank you pages. I mean, just think about what you said. Opt in, that's one thank you page. Purchase something, that's another thank you page. Purchase something again, that's another thank you page. We've listed 3 thank you pages in one journey. Chances are the listeners of this podcast that have all 3 of those pages fully optimized is slim to none. Not that I'm, like doubting the acumen of my listeners. It's just the nature of things. It's just, there's so many, and you don't know until you know. So hopefully after listening to this podcast, you're like, hey, let me go look at these thank you. Let me go look at these thank you pages again. Tell me this, Brian, what is the, in your experience, what's the best usage of a thank you page that you've done or you've experienced?
Ooh, what a good question. I think it's actually that story about the failure about getting text phone numbers. If I had been aware of how successful it was going to be, we could have spent more resources before launching it, critically, before launching it, to design the text message funnel and how that would interact with Facebook ads and email to go get people to buy the flagship product in such a way that we could have then tracked when people sign up. We could track how many cents or dollars per SMS sign up on that thank you page. And then we could have related that to how much ad money we're spending to get people to sign up for the opt-in. We didn't have any of that built out. I thought, this feels, I smelled the money. This feels good. Let's do it. And this is great. But doing that without having built it up, without having built the rest of the funnel, it ended up like, I completely understand their decision. It was like, I'm sorry to see my baby die, this huge list that I've helped them build, but it's too much. They can't use it. It's not the right time.
Yep.
And I think also part of the traction here with SMS for me is that the SMS open rates are still over 90%. And we're so cluttered, back to the beginning of our conversation, we're so inundated with information everywhere.
Yep.
But if you give people information through text message and it's actually valuable and it's not too much and it actually makes their lives better, people are going to feel that way more. Because how often have you opted in for actually true high quality content through SMS? Not that often.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
So it's an unpolluted channel, which marketers destroy everything, as Seth Godin says. And as your experience earlier with your unhealthy, abusive relationship with marketing. But we have a chance as generally minded entrepreneurs to go say, what's my best content that's going to help people ascend in their lives? Like even that marriage example we gave, you opt in and then it's, hey, I have my 7 things you must do if you want to save your marriage. Give me your phone number. I'll text it to you. And then over the next 7 days, you give them 1 thing per day and it has 1 sentence thing to do and a 1 sentence question on how to do it or a task for the day. Today, you will do this 1 thing to save your marriage. Like that could change someone's whole life.
Absolutely. I love it, man. And again, when people are listening, I want you all to be thinking strategically, of course, but thinking of how you can serve your audience better, faster, right? How can I get them to, because they're not going to figure it out on their own. How can you take them by the hand? If opt-in is grabbing their hand, how can you pull them and guide them to the next step without them having to figure it out and creating a disjointed experience? Brian, man, I've got so much appreciation for thank you pages, and we could go on for days about particular strategies or whatnot. But I want to be fair to you and your time and giving our listeners access to you if they deem that, hey, what was this guy's name again? How do I find them? How do people get in contact with you and reach out to you to find out more about what you do?
A few options. If you want to go get my latest book, The Impact Framework, which is my model of how all businesses function and thrive, that's at redbeardimpact.com. If you enjoyed hearing about Plus This, that tool that helps you make better thank you pages, I documented that in my book on Plus This called 20 Easy Ways to Make More Money with Plus This. That's at redbearduniversity.com/book. If you want to see me be outrageous and controversial while growing a Twitter account, that's Redbeard Brian on Twitter. If you more just want to have a group hug and be community oriented, I'm on Facebook at Redbeard Brian.
Got it. So we'll post those links in the show notes. Man, this was great, Brian. I can't thank you enough. The main takeaway for everybody today is go revisit your thank you pages. Oh, and I'll be remiss without saying this one. Here's one that I see people often overlook: your contact form. Contact forms are notorious for, well, thank you, we'll be in touch shortly. Use that page to prepare them for whatever they submitted their information for. Put a video on there. Use that opportunity, man, at all costs. When somebody gives you information, everybody, respond with the most value that you can give them to clarify the next step.
Love it.
Yes, man. So thank you for coming on, Brian. Greatly appreciated, my friend.
Take care.
All right. Thank you for listening to this episode of the All Systems Go podcast. Do me a favor and share this with your local digital marketer. And by local, I mean close to you in proximity or close to you online. That one that you know has all the digital marketing badges and all of the certifications, funnel builders, funnel experts. Share this with them to ensure that they are properly leveraging thank you pages the right way, as all expert marketers should. Okay, and if you found value in today's episode, please make sure you share it, but also make sure that you subscribe and leave that 5-star rating and review. It is greatly appreciated. Once you subscribe, you will not miss a single episode. Every Thursday, we release a new one, okay? Here at Automation Bridge, we're dedicated to training the digital marketing professionals of the world to become automation service providers, experts in the digital marketing field at automating profitable marketing, right? Small businesses, they really need people who can navigate the strategic and technical landscape, put it together to deploy automated systems in their business. And if that's you are at the right place, because what we've done is we've made it easy for you to access everything that you need. One URL gets you everything. AllSystemsGoPodcast.com gets you access to the latest episodes. It gets you access to any of our automation packages that are equipped with curriculum. They have community in there. They have courses. Our packages are geared to teach you how to put automated marketing and sales systems in your business over the next 6 months. 6 months. Okay. You even get access to our Facebook group, and you can request or refer someone to be a guest for the podcast. And any resources or training that we ever mention on the podcast are there. One URL gets you access to all that you need. Choose wisely, my friend. AllSystemsGoPodcast.com. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this episode. And until next time I see you online, automate responsibly, my friends.